What's up guys, and welcome back to another HTML, CSS and JavaScript project tutorial. In this video we are going to build and deploy a complete, fully responsive, modern photography portfolio website using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Now this project is going to have multiple themes, so when you get a source code you are going to decide which theme is best for you. So in the CSS I'm going to have different themes, okay, so you can just uncomment the theme that you want and then leave the other ones commented. Okay, so there's going to be multiple theme website or project. All right, and before I walk you through the finished project, let me tell you the things that you are going to learn or you are going to take away from this tutorial. All right, so by the end of this video you will know how to design a fully responsive website using CSS media queries. Okay, and we are going to combine that with some CSS units that are very helpful when it comes to creating responsive design. Okay, so we are going to be using units like rems, percentages, viewport height, viewport width, and those stuff. Okay, all right, we're also going to learn how to use CSS transitions and how to use CSS keyframes to create animations for your websites or on your website. You're going to learn how to design modern websites in this video. As you can see, this website is very modern. You're also going to learn how to use CSS Flexbox to align your elements on your web page. Also, you're going to learn how to use CSS Grid System to also align elements easily on your web page. We're going to learn how to use CSS variables as well, okay, which is going to help us easily customize our website, which is very helpful when it comes to creating custom or customizable websites. Okay, as I said at the end of the video, we are also going to deploy this project and make it available for anyone around the world. Now we are going to use one library, which is Swiper.js, and when I'm walking you through the project, you are going to see we are going to create a slide, okay, and that is where we are going to use this library. Everything else we are going to create ourselves. All right, now let me walk you through the finished project. All right, so this is the completed project. As you can see, it looks very modern, pretty simple, but it has a lot of features that I think if you are very new to CSS, JavaScript, and HTML, you are going to learn a lot from this project. Okay, all right, so we have our navbar, and as you can see on scroll, we have this cool style, okay, on the navbar, which makes it sit on top of everything on the page, right, which is pretty cool. We have some hover effects for the nav links or the nav items as well, and we have a smooth scroll to the different sections of the page. This is going to be a single page website, but it is going to be very helpful for beginners. All right, so here we have our navbar. Of course, we have our socials, which is going to open our social media in a new tab. As you saw, we have this header section as well, and we have this cool hover effects for the image that we have here. Okay, we have our title and all that. We have this cool space here as well, and also we have this cool hover effects for the frames that we have here. As you can see, we can also, or anyone visiting your website can click this and they can directly message you. Okay, so your email is going to be populated straightforward, and they can go ahead and then enter a subject and then the body of their email or the message that they are trying to send. All right, so we are going to use CSS animations to create this effect that you have here, that is the spinning effect. And also I'm going to show you how to create this circular text, okay, which is really cool. Okay, notice we have this cool background as well. We have this cool effect on the about section as well. As you can see, this is going to do basically the same thing as this button, so we can click. It's going to open the email, okay, depending on the email service, whether Gmail or whatever, is going to be open on the users or the visitors laptop, or device. Here in the gallery section, we have some slide, okay, or a carousel. And notice we have this cool hover effect as well. Okay, which is really cool. All right, let's scroll down and we have this exhibitions section as well with the cool hover effect. I'm going to show you how to use CSS transitions to create cool hover effects as well. Okay, now lastly we have the footer section, okay, which has our email, and then here too they can click to actually straightforward send us a message, okay, or an email. All right, so that is it for desktop. Let's see how this is going to look on different devices. All right, so this is how our website is going to look on mobile phones. So we can scroll to the different sections of the page. Of course, we have our cool hover effects and the slide as well, as you can see, which is really cool. All right, we have the exhibition section as well with the cool hover effects and all that. Okay, now let's see how this also going to look on tablets, and this is how our website is going to look on tablets. Pretty neat. And as you can see, the slides here are 2 per view. Okay, and we have a exhibition section here as well. All right, so that's it. This is what we are going to create. If you're excited so far, give me a thumbs up and let's proceed to start working on the project. Now, as I said earlier, we will be deploying our website, and that means after building the website, we will be uploading the website files to a server, okay, and make it available for everyone around the world. So for that, we are going to use Hostinger. Hostinger is by far the best hosting provider right now, and that is because they are very reliable and affordable. As you can see here, for $3.50 per month, you are going to have your website hosted, right? So here they have different options, they have different plans that you can select. So I prefer this plan, okay, I prefer this package, as I'm going to be able to host 100 websites. They give me 100 gigabytes of SSD storage. I can have approximately 25,000 monthly visitors on my website. They give me a free email, okay, so you can get maybe hello@yourwebsite.com, and they are going to give you a free SSL as well, okay. And SSL is the lock that you usually have on your website, okay, making your website secure. They give you a free domain name as well, which usually costs with other hosting providers. So hosting actually gives you a lot of free stuff. So that is what I am going to use, and I have my affiliate link in the description. So if you appreciate this tutorial, you can use that, and I may get a commission when you make a purchase, okay, and you're also going to get a discount. So here I'm going to select the package that I want, and Hostinger is very affordable, so I'm going to go with this. That is the 48 months. I'm going to enter my email, and I'm going to use PayPal, okay. So let me go straight ahead and submit or make my payment. Let's proceed and claim our domain, okay. So they are giving us a free domain. Let's proceed to claim it. So your domain name is going to be your website name, all right. So the domain name for this, I'm going to say, okay, so this is going to be my domain name. Let me check to see if it is available, and it is available, okay. So I'm going to claim it, and we are going to create our website ourselves. So we are going to skip this step. All right, so now that we are done purchasing our hosting and claiming our domain name, let's proceed to building the website. All right, so you can go ahead and then create a folder on your desktop or wherever you want on your computer. I have a folder here. Okay, I've created a project here, and in here I have my images folder. Okay, so I have all the assets that I'm going to use in this project. All right, and I'm going to leave a link for all the images so you can check them out. You can check the link in the description. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and then create the files that we are going to need. So of course we are going to have the HTML file. There's going to be a single page website, right? So we only need one HTML file. Let's create our style.css, and there's going to be our only CSS file. And finally our JavaScript file. I'm going to call this main.js. Okay, so those are the only files that we need. I'm going to right click and then open this with VS Code. Okay, all right, so we are going to start with our navbar. Okay, but before that, of course, as usual, I'm going to use some extensions to speed our process up. Okay, so the extensions that you need, you actually don't need this. You can type everything out or you can do everything manually, but I'm going to use preview on web server. Okay, and that is going to help me, or that is going to help reload the website whenever I save. Okay, um, I think it is going to be better than me refreshing the page every time. Okay, you can also use live server if that's what you want. They basically do the same thing. Okay, what else am I using? If you're using VS Code, you have an extension, a pre-installed extension called Emit, and it comes with VS Code. Okay, so you don't need to install that. But I'm going to do doc. Okay, I'm going to type doc and tab, and it is going to give me this boilerplate. Okay, let me actually make this bigger so that you can see everything. Now that's too big. Yeah, okay, so our title is going to be responsive photography portfolio website. Okay, so that's our title. Let's link our style sheet. So our style or CSS. I'm actually going to leave a comment here. Okay, I'm going to keep this code commented. I'm just going to say custom CSS or custom style sheet. Yeah, now let's proceed with our navbar. Okay, all right, so our navbar is going to be inside a nav tag, which is an HTML5 semantic tag, and the direct child of this is going to be a container, which is going to wrap around the different elements that we're going to have, right? And it's also let me from the finished project, this is going to be a general class container. Okay, a general class that is going to be put on the different sections of the page as well. Okay, and it's just going to help us center our website. Okay, as you can see, we have some space on the left side and then on the right side, so that's just going to center our website. All right, or the elements on the website. Okay, so I'm actually going to give this a nav underscore container as well, and this is going to be specific to the navbar. Okay, this div right here. Okay, now let's first have our logo. This is going to be the index HTML, or you can just do this. Okay, and it's going to bring us to the top of the page, but I'm just going to do index HTML. Okay, and the logo is going to be an image, so let's get that inside the images folder. I have logo.png. Okay, for the alt we can just say nav logo. Okay, so that's our logo. We're going to have our nav links, or our nav, yeah, basically our nav links, and that's going to be an added list, and I'm going to give this a class of nav underscore links, and we are going to have our lis. Inside it, we are going to have our anchor tag. This first one is going to bring us to the top of the page, so we're just going to say home. Okay, I'm going to duplicate this 3 times. The second one is going to take us to the about section. So on the same page, we are going to go to the section with the ID of about. Okay, So when we get to that section, or when we are creating that section, we are going to give it an ID of about, and on click of this link, it is going to take us to that section. Okay, and this is just going to say about. The next one is going to say gallery, and it is going to take us to the gallery section. We have exhibition, and that is going to take us to the exhibition section of the gallery. Exhibitions plural. All right, so that's our nav links. We're also going to have some socials, okay, our social media handles. So for that, we should actually, let's go to icon scout. Okay, that's the icon library that I'm going to use as usual. Let me grab the CDN as well. CDN, come on, CDN. Okay, I'm just going to grab this and then paste it inside the head. Okay, so I'm going to leave a comment here and then paste the link I just copied. Okay, I'm going to leave this link in the video description as well, so you can just paste that as the URL, as the href. Okay, so let's go ahead and then grab some of the icons. Before that, this is also going to be inside a UL. Come on, UL, and let's actually give this a class as well. I'm going to give this a class of nav socials. Okay, we're going to have our allies. Inside it, we are going to have the link, and this first one is going to go to from the finished project. Let's see, we have Instagram, Twitter, and then YouTube. Okay, so we have https instagram.com/your handle, right? But I'm just going to leave it like that. I'm going to duplicate this twice. Let's actually give this a target of underscore blank, okay, so that they open in a new tab. Okay, underscore blank, and that is going to make them open in a new tab. So let's get the first icon. You can just close this. So on icon scout, I'm going to use the free ones. Let's search Instagram. Okay, so this is what I'm going to use. Copy, come back here, and then paste it in my anchor tag. Okay, the next one is Twitter, right? So Twitter, I'm going to grab this, copy, come back, and then paste it in here. And then the last one is YouTube. YouTube, copy, come back, and then paste that as well. Now, one last thing I want to do before we finish this nav markup is to add some buttons, okay, for mobile and then tablet devices. Right here, if I go on a mobile device, you can see we have this hamburger icon, and also we have this close icon as well. Okay, so these are going to be only available on tablets and then mobile devices, right? But I want to get those icons, and then on desktops they are going to be displayed none, but on mobile and then tablet devices we are going to have them. Okay, so I'm going to have a button with a class of nav underscore toggle btn. Okay, and this first one I'm actually going to give it an ID as well, so that we grab on this particular one in the JavaScript. So nav toggle, I'm going to say open. Okay, and I'm going to duplicate this, and this is going to be the close, but they are going to have the same class. Okay, they're basically going to have the same styles. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and then search for bars. Okay, that is the hamburger icon. I'm going to get that, and then that's going to be for the open. Okay, and for the close, let's just say close or multiply or whatever. Yeah, I'm going to use this multiply, copy that, come back and paste that as well. Okay, and that is all for the markup, okay, for the navbar. Okay, so I'm going to leave a comment here. I'm going to say end of nav paste, and yeah, that's all for the markup for the navbar. Now we can proceed to the styles. Okay, let's style our navbar. Now, as I said earlier, we are going to make use of CSS variables. Okay, and this is going to help us prevent repetition, okay, to avoid so many repetitions. For instance, we can be repeating colors, right? But with CSS variables, we just have a variable that holds one color, or that is assigned to one color, and then we can use that variable throughout the project, right? And later on, if you want to change that color, we can just change the value, and then the color will be changed throughout the project as well. Okay, so we are going to have some root variables, and this first one is going to be, so these are basically the colors. Okay, these variables are going to be the colors. We are going to have some variables for the width of the general container class and all that as well. Okay, but this first one is going to be the primary color variable, so I'm going to call this color primary, and it is going to have a hex code of FF7B02. Okay, right. This kind of orange, yeah, or yellow, or whatever it is. And we are going to have some more variables. Okay, so I'm just going to paste that in. Okay, so as I said earlier, we are going to have two themes. Okay, this is commented out, but in the source code we are going to have it, but this one is what we are going to work with. Okay, which is the green theme, or the dark green theme. All right, so we have color primary, we have, let me actually delete this. We have color primary variants, we have BG1, 2, 3, 4, which are different colors. As you can see, the hex codes are different. We have lights, and then we have white. Okay, so these are the variables for the colors. Now we are going to have three more variables as well. So this is going to be the width of the container class, the general container class on large devices, and on medium and then small devices we are going to use this width. Okay, where it's going to be 92%. All right, so later on, if you want to change the width, or if you get a source code and you want to change the width, you can just come up here, change it, and then it is going to take effect. Okay, and also we have a transition. All right, so those are the variables that we are going to use throughout the project. So I'm going to go ahead and have some more styles. Okay, now I'm going to target everything on the web page. Actually, you know what, before we proceed, let's see what we got from the markup. Okay, so I'm going to right click and then open with live server, and this is what we got from the projects. Okay, this is what we got from the projects, and this is not showing very well because it's white on a white background, but we are going to work on it. Okay, so we have the finished project here, input this side by side, and yeah, that's it. Okay, so this is what we got from the markup. Okay, let me make this bigger, and also bring this here, make it bigger. Yeah. All right, so I'm grabbing everything on the web page, every element, and I'm going to give them a margin of 0. Okay, so everything should have a margin and padding of 0, border of 0 as well. I'm going to have an outline of 0. I'm going to set the list style. Okay, so list style, that is the bullets that we have for these LIs. Okay, so I'm going to remove them. So list style is going to be none, and I'm going to set the text decoration. Come on, text decoration is going to be none as well, and text decoration is the underlines that we have for the anchor tags. Okay, so actually, you know what, I'm just going to shrink this and then put these side by side. Okay, right, so I'm going to save, and we have a clean slate. Okay, a clean canvas that we are going to work with. All right, so actually I'm going to give this a box sizing of border box. Okay, good. Now before I proceed, I'm actually going to change the font that we have. This doesn't look good. I want it to look like we have like the fonts I used for the logo. Okay, so I'm going to go to Google Fonts. So fonts.google.com, and we are going to search Montserrat. Okay, and that is the font I'm going to use. That's right here. And right here I'm going to grab from the light. Okay, so the 300 font weight, that's the normal one. I'm going to grab the regular as well, the medium, semi bold, and bold. Okay, the rest I'm not going to need that, so I'm just going to um use the link. You can also use the CSS. Okay, you can copy this and then import it in your CSS, but I prefer the link. Okay, so we just copy, come back to our project, go to the head of the markup, and we are going to paste our font. Okay, so let me leave a comment here as well. Google font Montserrat, that's the name of the font. All right, so let's actually, so the font family is going to be that Montserrat font that we just got. And before I even make use of the font, I want to target my HTML, and I'm going to give it a scroll behavior of smooth. Okay, and from the finished project, that is just going to help us scroll smoothly to the different sections that we have. Okay, so that is what we have there, and I'm going to target my body as well and give it that font family. Okay, and I'm going to save, and as you can see here, we have our fonts changed. Okay, let me give my body some more styles. So the background is going to be the color BG3, and let me show you. So this is the color BG3, that's the variable, and this is the hex code. Okay, so this is how you use CSS variables. Okay, so var, and then in brackets you have the name of that variable. Okay, so if I should come back here and then make this let's say red, as you can see we have red. Okay, so this is going to be very easy for us to customize our web page. Okay, that is why you can just comment this out and then the whole theme is going to change for you. All right, so let's actually have some more styles. Our text color is going to be the light color, and our line height for the text is going to be 1.7. Okay, so that is for our body, and I'm going to target our H1s and then H2s as well. We are going to have some general classes before, or some general styles before we actually start styling our nav. Okay, so these are some general styles that we are having, which is going to help us um, along the way. Okay, to make our lives easier. All right, so for the H1s and H2s, I'm going to give them a different line height. I'm going to give them a line height of 1.1, and the font weight is going to be 400. Now we can proceed and then target each one of them. So the font size for the H1 is going to be 4 rem. Okay, let me actually give it a color of white as well. That's the variable color white. Okay, and I'm going to target the H2 and give it a different font size, that is 3.5 rem. All right, now let's proceed, and I'm going to get the anchor tags. Okay, every anchor tag on the web page should have a color of color light. I'm going to give them a transition. Okay, because we are going to have some hover effects, so I want the hover effect to be smooth, and I'm using this transition variable that we have here. Okay, so all 400 milliseconds is okay, that is going to smoothen the transition. So if I should come to the project and then hover, we actually don't have that hover effect yet, so I'm going to grab all the links, and on hover I'm going to give them a color of color primary. Let's save and see what happens. So I hover and I have a smooth over effect, as you can see. All right, so there's the color primary, of course, you know that already, and there's the light color that we used down here. Okay, here. Okay, so these are the variables. All right, now let's have some more styles. As I said, we are going to have a general container class. We already have that in the nav. We are going to have that for the different sections of the page as well. Let's give that a width of the container with LG, which I think is 88% right here. Okay, and let's give it a margin of 0 auto, which is going to center it horizontally, and also I'm going to give it a max width of 2160 pixels. Okay, now let's proceed, and the last element I'm going to start before we move on to the nav is going to be the images. So every image on the web page should have a display of block, or should be displayed block, and object fit. I'm going to set that to be cover, and also we should have 100% of its parent width. Okay, so these are the general styles that we have. Okay, now we can proceed and start styling our nav or our nav bar. Okay, and we gave the image 100% of its parent width, and that is why we have this. Okay, and for the container, as I said, because we give it a margin 0 auto, it is going to, let me actually give it a background so that you see. Okay, so this is the container class. It centers the elements that we have in the nav. Okay, from the markup you can see we have the container class here, right here. All right, so let's proceed, and I'm going to remove this red. Yeah, and we are going to style our nav. All right, so our nav is inside our nav semantic tag, so we can just grab that, since that is going to be the only nav on the page. Okay, and let's give it a height of 5 rem. Okay, by default the root is, I think, 16 pixels, so 5 times that. Okay, so we can actually calculate this. So 16 times 5 should give us 5 rem. Let me actually give this a background so that you see what I'm talking about. So I'm going to give our nav a red background, and let's see what we have. Times, yeah. Okay, so we have this 5 rem for the height of the nav, right? And as I said, this 16 times 5 is the 5 rem. Okay, so we can just do 5 rem, and as you can see, nothing changed. Okay, which is 16 times 5. So that's the height, 5 rem. I'm going to save this. I don't need that red background. I'm going to give it a width of 100 viewport width. Okay, and I'm going to display it grid, just so I want to place items to the center. Okay, and this is going to place the direct child exactly in the middle. That is the div with a class of container, right? It's going to place that exactly in the middle, vertically and then horizontally. And also I'm going to position this fixed, okay, so that it doesn't move. Okay, also from the top is going to be 0, from the left 0, and I'm going to give it a z index of 99. Okay, so that it sits on top of everything on the page. All right, now let's proceed, and let's grab the nav underscore container, which is specific to this nav bar. Okay, so we have the container class, nav container, right? Let's grab that, and I'm going to give that a height of 100% of its parents, so 5 rem basically. I'm going to display this flex. Let's save, and we have this. Okay, Okay, I displayed flex so I can justify content to be spaced between, and I'm going to align items to the center as well. Okay, now let's proceed, and I'm going to get these two icons. Okay, these two buttons that we have here, as I said, they're only going to be available on tablets and then mobile phones. So we give them a class of nav toggle btn, I think. Yeah, that's what we gave them. That's the class we gave them right here. They both have that class, so I'm going to target that and then display none for now. We don't need them. Okay, all right, so let's actually work on the logo. Let's target the logo. I think we gave it a class, right? We didn't. Oh, okay, so I'm going to give this logo class of nav underscore underscore logo. Okay, we are going to target that. So nav logo, I'm just going to give it a fixed width of 7.5 rem. Okay, let's save, and that's our logo. All right, now I'm going to target the nav links that we have here. So these links that we have, so we give that a class of nav underscore underscore links. And you know what, I'm going to give this a call. I'm going to leave a comment here. I'm only needed on tablets and phones. Okay, just so you know what's happening there. So the nav links, I'm going to display them flex as well. And let's save and see what we have. And I'm going to give some space between them, a space of 4 rem. And we have that. Okay, now I'm going to target the socials. So these links that we have here, so we give them a class nav socials. Actually, I think that's what I gave it, nav socials. Let's check. Yeah, okay, so nav socials, let's get that, and then I'm going to display it flex. Okay, let's have some space. A space of 1 rem should be good between them. Perfect. Now let's grab each link. Okay, inside this. Okay, each of these are inside a link tag. Okay, or an anchor tag. Each of them is going to have a width of 2 rem. Same for the height. So you can actually do an aspect ratio of 1:1, right? And let me actually give this a background so that you see what I'm talking about. Okay, so if I should change this to 4 rem, then the height is going to change to 4 rem. Okay, it's probably because I don't have a display. Let's display this grid. Okay, so as you can see, the aspect ratio is going to make sure the height and the width are exactly like we have here. Okay, so if it is 1:1, then the height is always going to be the same as the width. Okay, so let's get back to what we had before. I'm going to use the height. Okay, 2 rem as well. I'm going to remove the red background. Of course, we are going to give it a different background, which is going to be a linear gradient, primary color variant, and let me make this bigger so that you see what's happening. Color primary as well. Okay, so a linear gradient of 2 colors, and we have it. Okay, so as you can see, we have like yellow at the top and then orange at the bottom. Okay, radius of 0.5 rem, and I'm going to change the text color as well. Okay, the text is almost invisible there, so I'm going to give it a color of color bg4. Let's save and see what we have, and we have this. Okay, now we've displayed this grid already, so we can position it well. So I'm going to place items to the center. Let's save, and the icons are right in the middle of the anchor tags. Okay, so that's basically our nav. Okay, that's basically our nav. Actually, I'm going to have some hover effects for this to look cool. Okay, so I'm going to grab this. I'm going to give them a box shadow. 0 on the x-axis, 1 rem for the y-axis, 1 rem for the blur, and an RGBA of 0, 0, 0, and then 0, 0.2 for the alpha. Actually, let me do 0.7 so that you see it well. Come on, this should be a comma. Yeah, okay, so as you can see, we have some box shadow on hover. Okay, that's too much. I'm going to do 0.4 for the alpha, and that's not too bad, I guess. All right, let's see. That's not bad. Now we are going to work on the responsive design for the Navbar once the whole desktop version of the website is done. Okay, let me actually close this Google Fonts. I don't need that for now. But one thing I want to do before we proceed to the next section is this style that we have for the Navbar on scroll. Okay, remember we have some styles here, as you can see. So we are going to use JavaScript for that. Okay, which is going to be very simple. So let's go to our JavaScript and let's make sure it is actually linked, okay, to our markup as index HTML. So let's link our JavaScript, which is main.js, and just to confirm that this is actually linked, I'm just going to do an alert in our JavaScript. Let's save and we have it. Okay, so it is actually linked. All right, so here I'm going to put an event listener on the window. Okay, so let me actually leave a comment here. Okay, so I'm going to grab the window object and have an event listener on it. Okay, this is going to be a scroll event, and I'm going to run an arrow function. Okay, so here I'm just going to grab the nav, so document the query selector, and that is the only nav that we have, the only nav tag that we have, and I'm going to toggle a class. Okay, so I'm going to do class list.toggle, and let's call this class window scrolled. Okay, window scrolled, let's call it that, and we want this to take effect when the window scrolls on the y-axis more than 0 pixels. Okay, so that is the only thing we are doing here, which is very simple. So here in the CSS, I'm going to go up and I'm going to have the styles for this window scrolled class. Okay, remember we are toggling a class list. Okay, so here I'm actually going to leave a comment here in the CSS. JavaScript, yeah, and I'm going to paste the class that we are going to toggle. Okay, so here I'm going to give it a background. Okay, so as you can see here, we don't have a background for the nav, but here on scroll we're going to have a background for it, and let's give it that color bg2 background. Okay, I'm going to give it a border bottom of 0.2 rem, solid color bg3. Okay, and also I'm going to give it a box shadow of 0 for the x-axis, 1 rem for the blur, 1 rem for the 1 rem for the y-axis, another 1 rem for the blur, and an RGBA of 0, 0, 0, and then 0.3. Okay, so black with some alpha. Okay, now we can scroll because we don't have enough elements on the page. So here in the HTML, I'm just going to have some breaks. Okay, and I'm just going to duplicate this many times just so we can scroll on the page. All right, so now as you can see, we have a scroll. Okay, we can actually scroll on the page. Okay, it's kind of glitching for some reason, but I think it's going to be all right. Okay, once we have real elements on the page, but for now let's keep these breaks. Okay, All right, so let's actually proceed to the next section of the page, which from the finished project is going to be this header section. Okay, let's go on and proceed to that. All right, so our header section is going to be inside the header tag, which is also an HTML5 semantic tag. And here we are going to have our general container class and a header underscore container class as well. Okay, now we are going to have a left and a right. Okay, so from the finished project, let me show you real quick. This side with the image is going to be the left, and then we are going to have this right side with the stuff that we have here. Okay, all right, so let's target the left side first, and here we are going to have let me show you real quick from the finished project. Okay, we are going to have this background. Okay, so this color that we have here, we are going to have this big image, okay, which is kind of grayed out, as you can see. And then we are going to have this small image which sits on top of them all. Okay, so that is for the left side. So we have header image bg, duplicate this. We have header image lg for large, and then header image sm, okay, for small. So this first one is going to be empty, of course, and the next one, okay, this one is going to have the big image. So let's go into our images, and what did I call it? I think I called it, you know what, let's go into the, let me go here and see what, okay, so this is the image I want. Okay, so I just called it header. So let's grab that. Let's just say header image for the alt. Okay, this is going to be the image you are going to use for the small as well. So I'm just going to paste that in, and that's it. Okay, so that's for the left side of the header section. Now for the right side, we are going to have a header head. Okay, and that is going to have this empty space that we have here with the inner box shadow, and then we are going to have this hashtag as well. Okay, we are going to have those two things. So this first one, I'm going to call it let's give it a general class of empty and header empty. Okay, there's going to be on some sections as well. That is why I gave it that general class, which we're going to style. And also we are going to have the hashtag. Okay, this is not going to go anywhere. Let me actually give this a class of header tag. Okay, and it's going to say best travel photographer 2022. And yeah, that's for the head. I'm going to have my h1, which is going to say see the beauty of the world through my lens. And I'm going to have a paragraph. Let's just do lorem 30, just some dummy text. Lastly, I'm going to have a link. Okay, and this link is going to open the user's email, and the receiver of the email is going to be us. Okay, so we are going to have our email here. So my email is support@gator.com. Okay, so this should be your email, okay, or your client's email, whoever should be receiving the email or the message. Okay, and this is actually going to be for tablets and then mobile devices. We are actually going to have this animation later on after we've styled the elements that we have up top, but for now this will be hidden, okay, on large devices, and it's only going to be available on tablets and then mobile phones. Okay, so here let's just say let's talk. Okay, let's actually give this class btn md. All right, so let's save that, and I think that's all for the header for now. Okay, we're actually going to have this frames that we have here and this rotating button as well. We are going to have them, but for now we can proceed and then style what we have in the markup. Okay, so let's come back to the CSS, and I'm going to copy this comment, come down here, paste it, and this is going to be for the header. Let me make this uppercase. All right, so I'm going to get my header and I'm going to give it a width of 100, come on, 100 viewport width, right? I'm going to give it a height of 100 viewport height as well, and I'm actually going to position this relative. Okay, and from the top 0, I'm going to give it a background as well of, you know what, let's actually see what we got from the markup. Okay, let me show you what we got from the markup, and there's it. Okay, you know what, I think there is a problem with, let's go back to, I don't know why this behaving like this. Okay, so let's check our JavaScript. Scroll. Okay, so is this okay, and that should be here instead. All right, so now we don't have that glitch. Okay, and this is what we got from the header markup. Okay, like that, and our CSS is going to be here. All right, okay, so from the top 0, let me actually give it a background. As I said, let me make this linear gradient as well. Okay, so we are going to use the color bg3 and the color bg1. Okay, there should be a hyphen here. Okay, so now we have a gradient, as you can see here. Okay, all right, now let's proceed and let's actually give this an overflow of heading. I'm going to grab the header container class and I'm going to give that a display of grid. Okay, and I'm going to, the grid templates columns is going to be 45%. You know what, 40% and then 50%. Okay, so 40% for the left and then 50 for the right. Okay, I'm also going to give them a gap. Let's first see what we have. I'm going to save, and this is how it looks. Okay, so let me give a gap of, which is the remainder of these two, so 40, 50, that's 90, and then we have 10 rem for the gap, which is the space between. Give this a margin top of 10 rem, a position of relative. Now we are going to grab the bg. Okay, so header, so on the left side we have this header image bg, if you can remember, which has nothing in it. Okay, so right here we have header image bg. Okay, and there's nothing in it. Okay, and that is going to be this background that we have here. Okay, so let's style that. I'm going to give that a background of color bg4, give that a height of 22 rem, a width of 16 rem, and I'm going to position that absolute. Let's see, and this is what we have. All right, now I'm going to grab the LG. Okay, the large image, so header image LG. I'm going to grab that and give it a width 29 rem, top of 1 rem, left of 1 rem, and let's see what we have. Okay, so we have that here. Okay, as you can see. Okay, and that's what we have. Okay, so this top and then left is what is pushing it a little away from this. Okay, so if we save, we have it here. Okay, and because we gave it a position, that is why it's now sitting on top of this, on top of the background. Okay, remember, without a position, it was beneath the background. Okay, now let's actually give this a filter, and we are going to reduce the saturation to 0, and also the brightness as well. We're going to make that 0.3. Okay, and that's what we have. Now we are going to have a hover effect, but before that I want to have the styles for the small image as well. So that is that has, or the div has a class of header image SM for small, and let's give that a width of 28 rem, a height of 28 rem as well, and I'm going to set overflow to be hidden, and position is going to be absolute. Let's actually give this a left of 6 rem and a top of 6 rem as well, and now we have it. So that looks pretty good, right? Now what I'm going to do is to have some hover effect. Let's see how it looks on large screens. So, okay, so just like we have in the finished project, on hover on the left, okay, on the left side of this header, we are going to put some transitions on these elements. Okay, so let's do that. So I'm going to grab the header left and then put a hover effect. On hover, we actually want to target the header image SN. That's what we are going to animate. Okay, so on hover of the left, we want to animate the SM. Okay, so what do we want to do here? I just want to reduce the opacity to 0. Okay, header left. Okay, this should be header left. Okay, come on, and header right. I think, yeah. So that's the class. My apologies. Okay, so now on hover we have that. Now I want this to be smooth, so I'm going to have a transition here, and that is the transition variable. That is what we are going to use. So all 400 milliseconds is, that's the transition that I want. Okay, so now I have it. Beautiful. Now I'm going to do same for, or similar thing for the SM. So on hover of the left, I want to get the header image LG. Okay, the LG rather. I'm going to get that, and the filter saturation here is going to be 100%, so 1, and the brightness is also going to be 1. Okay, so we have that. Also, I want to give it a border of 1 rem, solid color BG3. Okay, and the top is going to be 0, the left is going to be 0 as well. Here, where is it? The LG, here you can see the top is 1, the left is 1. So, okay, so it is pushed down here. That is why we have the background showing, right? But now when we save this, the top is going to be 0, and then it's going the left is going to be 0 on hover. Okay, So let's do it, and we have it. Okay, now let's actually put some, let's make this 4. Let's actually put a transition on this as well. We are going to use the variable transition. Let's save, and now we have this. Okay, which is really cool. Right now, I think what we have here is too much, so 51, and here should be 8. That looks better. Oh, let's do 2, 2, 6. So 6% for the gap. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Yeah, so that's what we have. Okay. Now let's target the right side, and I'm directly going to grab the header. Okay, the head. Remember, we had a header head which had the empty and then this hashtag. Okay, so we are going to first grab the head and then display that to be flex. Give it a gap of 2 rem. Okay, we don't see anything because the empty is not showing, so let's get that and then style it. Okay, let's give it a height. Let me make this smaller. I'm going to give it a height of 3.5 rem, a width of 18 rem, background color bg2. Okay, so we have something, but the background is not, the contrast is not there. That's why we don't see it. Okay, so we actually have something there. Okay, now let me give it a border radius. Okay, and I'm going to calculate this. So that is going to be 3.5 divided by 2. Okay, so the height divided by 2, that's the border radius I want to give it. We are going to give it a margin bottom of, let's do 3.5 rem, a box shadow of insert 0 for the x-axis, 1 rem for the y-axis, 1 rem for the blur, and an RGBA of 0, 0, 0, and then 0.3 for the alpha. And now we have this. Let's actually give it a border as well of 1 pixel solid color bg4. Okay, and this is what we have. Beautiful. Now let's target the, okay, so here you can see, without we actually hovering over this, from down here you can see we have that effect already, and that's because this side is covering the whole of this part. Okay, we're going to set align items here to be flex start. Let's save, and now we should actually hover to have that effect. Okay, now I'm going to target the tag as well and give it a class of header tag. I think, did we? Yeah, header tag. Okay, so I'm going to get that and change the color. Just going to change the color to color primary variant. Okay, so we have that. Now let's get the paragraph. Okay, let's get the paragraph. So right, and then the paragraph there. I want to get that, and the margin top is going to be, let's just do 2 rem, and I'm also going to give it a width of 85%. Okay, so we have that. I think that's actually too much. Okay, I'm going to come back here and then reduce that. Okay, so okay, that's actually not bad. That wasn't bad before. I thought this was part of it. Okay, so let's actually go back to the CSS, and I'm going to grab the header button MD. Okay, as I said, this is only going to show on medium and then small devices. Okay, so header btn md, that's the class we gave it. I'm going to display none. Let me have a comment here. Let's save, and this is what we have. Okay, so I think we can now proceed to, I think still this is too much, okay, as compared to the finished project. I'll actually just copy this and then paste that. Okay, and now this is what we have. Okay, so now let's have the frames. Okay, let's have the frame setting this button as well with the animation. Okay, so let's go back to the markup for the header. You know what, looking at the finished project, I think the space here is too much. Okay, there's too much space here, so I'm going to go back to the CSS. That's the container, right? And I'm going to make this 3. Okay, and this here is going to be 4. Let's save and see what we have. Okay, so this now is pretty close to the finished project. Okay, I think here we actually brought the image down a little bit, but I think that's okay, that's fine. All right, so let's proceed and have the markup. Okay, and the rest of the markup for the header. Okay, we are first going to have the frames. I'm going to call this header frames. Let's have that image. Let's go into our images. Come on, images frame. So there's the first one, and I'm going to duplicate this. There's going to be the second frame. All right, so that's for the frames. We are going to have the button as well. Okay, the circular button, this one, we are going to have that as well. So that is actually going to be a link. This is also going to open the user's mail, okay, and populate the recipient email with our email. Okay, so here my email is support@egator.com. This should be your email, okay, or your customer's email, the person you are creating the website for. Okay, now inside here we are going to have an icon. Okay, let me actually give this a class. I'm going to give this a class of contact btn and another class of header btn. Okay, so as I said, we are going to have an icon, so let's grab that. Let me just search arrow. We are going to use this, copy that and then paste it in here. Okay, now next to that we are going to have a paragraph, and this is just going to say contact. Okay, get in touch with me, just like we have in the finished projects. Okay, we have it here. We have contact and then send me an email. That's what okay, so let's actually do send me an email instead. Send me an email, not bad. Okay, so that's it. That's basically the whole header section. Okay, so I can now have a comment here, and this is going to be the end of the header section. Let's save and see what we have. Okay, so we have the 2 images for the frames, and then we have the link. Okay, and as I said, on click of this we have, okay, as you can see, we have our email here. Okay, so if anybody comes on your website and then click that link, it's going to open their Gmail or whatever service or email service they are using, and your email is going to be populated here. All right, so we can now proceed and then style this, okay, just like we have in a finished project. Okay, So let's come down here. All right, so I'm going to get the frames. So that was header frames, right? And I'm going to position that absolute. Let me make this, yeah, I'm going to make this a little bigger. From the top is going to be 88 viewport height, okay? And from the right, 44 rem. Come on. So that's what we have. Now give it a transition. Okay, now we can target the individual frames. Okay, so header frame singular. Let's give that a width, okay, of 14 rem, or each of them is going to have that width. A border of 0.4 rem solid, and color BG3. Okay, now let's save, and this is what we have. Not too bad. Let's give them a box shadow 00, and then 4 rem for the blur, RGBA. Let's do 0.5 for the alpha, and I'm going to position them absolute as well. Okay, so this is what we have. So they are stacked on top of each other. Okay, the second one is on top of the first one. All right, now let me actually rotate them. So transform and rotate. Okay, they are both going to be rotated -10 degrees. All right, I'm actually going to grab the second one and then give it a different rotation. Okay, but for now, let me actually, I want the origin of the rotation to be on the bottom left. Okay, so transform origin is going to be on the bottom left. Okay, now let's actually give this a transition as well. Okay, of the variable transition, because we are going to have some yeah, we're going to have some hover effects. Okay, so nth child, second one, I'm going to give it a transform rotate of 20 degrees. So this is what we have. Now I want this to start from here around this part, that's the bottom left, should be around here. So I'm actually going to since they are positioned absolute, I can give it a top of -2 rem and a left of 2 rem. So we have that. Okay, so now I can proceed and then give the animation that I wanted to give before, frames. On hover of that, I want to get the individual frames, and first I want to rotate. Okay, so transform rotate, and I'm going to rotate them 0. Okay, so they're going to be straight just like this. Now I want to change the position of this one. Okay, the second one, I want to have it around this side. So let's actually yeah, we are going to do this. So on hover, we are going to grab the second element again. This time we are going to give it a top of 0 because it's already positioned absolute, and then a left of 15 rem. Let's save that and see what we have. Okay, so we have this animation, which is cool, right? Yeah, so I think that's all for the frames. We can now proceed to this button or the link that we have, the email link. You know what? I think the frames, no, not the frames, the empty. Yeah, let me leave a comment here. Okay, and now we can proceed, and since this is going to be almost the same except for the background, they're going to have almost the same styles. Okay, all the contact links that we have, or the contact buttons that we have, are going to have the same or a similar style. We are going to have some general styles here. Okay, let me actually go back to what we are working on. Okay, so that's what we are going to start. Let's proceed and do that. All right, so we gave it a general class of contact btn, right? Let's target that, and then the color is going to be, let me bring this to the right. The color is going to be color bg1. Okay, the width is going to be 10 rem, same for the height, and border radius is going to be 50%. I'm going to display grid and place items to the center. The cursor is going to be pointer, and let's give it a transition of the variable transition that we have. Okay, so nothing much there, but we're going to work on it. Now let's target this particular one. Okay, I gave it a class of header btn. I'm going to give that a background of, it's going to be a linear gradient. Okay, so linear -30 degrees, and we are first going to use the color primary variant. We will have the color primary, and then we have the color primary variant again. Okay, color primary variant, we have that again. Let's save. And what is wrong with linear gradient? I gave it a class, right? Let's check. Header button, of course. Why is it not working there? Background, yeah. Okay, so it should be background instead of background color. I'm going to position this absolute. It's going to be 6% from the right, and from the bottom -3%. So let's save, and now that is where we want it to be. So next, what we are going to do is to have that circular text. Okay, we are going to convert this into a circular text. Okay, and we are actually going to use JavaScript for that. Okay, so now I want to have a hover effect. So on hover of this, I want to, the box shadow is going to be 0, on the x-axis 2 rem, RGBA. I'm going to transform, translate on the y-axis -1 rem, and I'm going to change the color. Okay, the text of the color is going to be color bg1. Now let's actually target the icon. Okay, I'm going to target this icon. So I'm going to use the contact btn and then the icon. Okay, I'm going to change the font size to be 3.5 rem, and I'm going to position that absolute, and it's going to be right in the middle. Okay, because we placed items here to be center. Okay, so there's going to be exactly in the middle. Now, as I said, we are going to have the circular text, but before that, I'm going to style the paragraph. Okay, the text itself is inside the paragraph tag right here. So that is what I'm going to style. So contact btn and then the paragraph tag. I'm going to give that a font size of 1 rem. I think that's 1 rem already, right? Now let's just do this. Font weight, I'm going to give that 600. The width, of course, is going to be 10 rem as well. Same for the height. And let's see what we have. Okay, so not bad. But as I said, we are actually going to split the individual text, okay, using JavaScript, and then give them or put them inside a span. Okay, and for each of them, you are going to give them a rotation, and that is going to give us that circular text effect. Okay, so let's actually head back to JavaScript, and I'm going to have a comment here. Okay, we are going to have multiple contact buttons. Okay, the circular buttons, we are going to have multiple, or about 4 of them. So yeah, all right, so I'm going to get the contact button, so I'm going to put that inside a variable. Let's just call this text buttons. Okay, we are going to have multiple of them, so we are actually going to use query selector or, okay, and then get the contact, all the elements with a class of contact btn. Okay, so we get that, and now we are going to run a for each loop on it. Okay, so text buttons for each element. So I'm just going to say for each text button, I'm going to run this arrow function. Okay, so we are going to get the paragraph for each text button, or for each of the buttons we are going to grab the paragraph tag. Let's just call this text, and let's just do query selector and then grab the p tag inside of it. Okay, remember this inside a p tag, a paragraph tag. So that is what we are getting, the inner HTML. Okay, the elements that we have, the text that we have, we are going to split it. Okay, we are going to split that, and we are going to map through that array. Okay, this is going to give us an array, so we are going to map through that array. Okay, so let's actually get each character, okay, and the index as well. So we get that, and we are going to use a template literal here and put each of them inside a span. Okay, so a span with a style of transform rotate of the index. Okay, so each index times 12. Okay, depending on how long the text is inside of p tag, you are going to have to play around with the value here. Okay, but I think 12 is perfect for this. Okay, okay, so 12, and then we add the degree. Let's have quotes here as well. We have our quotes, and then we close our tag. Okay, so we have our span closing tag as well here, and now we should have the character itself. So the character should be inside the tag, okay, the span tag. All right, so now let's actually join this, and what we are going to do is to put this whole thing back into the text, okay, into the paragraph tag, and that is inside the text, right? So the text inner HTML should be equal to this whole thing. Okay, so now if I should save this, okay, let's actually check something real quick. If I should come here, okay, so as you can see, we have the spans, okay, and you can see we have the rotation for each of the elements, okay, each of the spans. Okay, so that's cool. Now what I want to do is to have some more styles in the CSS so that this can actually work. Okay, so let's go back, let's come back here in the CSS and have some more styling. Okay, so here for the paragraph, I'm going to, let's actually grab the span. Okay, so contact button p and then the span. Let's see what happens. So I'm going to position them absolute. Let's save, and they are there, but they are not very visible. So what I'm going to do is transform origin 0.3 rem and then 5 rem. Let's save, and now we have something on the page. This is not exactly where we want it to be, so I'm actually going to display the p tag to be flex, and I'm going to align items, or let me actually justify content instead to be center. Let's save, and now it's exactly where we want it to be. Okay, now we could actually leave it like this, okay, which doesn't look terrible. We can click and it does what it should do, but I'm going to have an animation. Okay, so I'm going to have a keyframe. So at keyframes, I'm going to call this spin text. So what I want this to do is to just rotate. Okay, so I'm going to say to transform of, we are going to rotate 360, okay, degrees. By default, it starts at 0 degrees. Every element has a rotation of 0. So it is going to go from 0 to 360, okay. So we are going to put this animation here on the P tag. So animation spin text, that's the name of the keyframe. And let's make this animation, the duration is going to be 5 seconds, and I want this to be linear, okay, and infinite, and that is too fast. Let's do 30 seconds. Yeah, that's all right. Okay, and that's it, guys. That's it for this whole header section. So now, and to take care of this overflow on the horizontal axis, I'm just going to set the header. I'm going to set that to a maximum width of 100 viewport width. Okay, so I have the width here, so I'm going to make this maximum width. Okay, it's going to be 100 viewport width, and now we don't have that scroll bar that we had here. Okay, so now let's proceed to the about section. Okay, let's proceed to this about section that we have here. All right, so I'm going to go back here into my HTML. So we are going to have a section tag, which is an HTML5 semantic tag as well, and we should give it an ID, okay, so that we can click in the link on the navbar to scroll to this section, right? We're going to give it that ID of about, okay. It should correspond to what we have here, okay. So we are going to do same for the gallery and then the exhibitions section as well when we get there. All right, so we have about, we are going to have our general container class and another class of about underscore underscore container. Okay, now in here we are going to have our h2, that is going to be the heading. Let's actually give this a class of about title. Okay, and this is just going to say about Tommy Hans. Okay, and I want this to get on a new line, so I'm going to have a break tag here. All right, now we are going to have 3 elements basically. Okay, this is actually going to be displayed absolute, so we are actually going to have 3 elements that are going to be displayed grid, okay, which are going to be aligned like this. Okay, so we have the absolute positioning for the header, this the finished project by the way, and we are going to have these 3 main elements. Okay, we have the contact link, okay, we have this image just like we had in the header section, and then we have this right section, okay, with the empty and then the text that we have here. Okay, so to simplify things, let's just proceed, and we are going to start with the contact, which is a link, okay, that is going to mail to, of course, your email or your client's email, okay, the person who owns the website, who should be receiving this email. And here too we are going to have, let's actually give this a class of contact btn, that's the general class, remember, and we should give it a specific class to the about section as well, about btn. Okay, right, in here we are going to have the I, and we should actually just copy from here. Okay, I'm just going to copy this. It's the same thing that we're going to have here. Okay, paste, and yeah. Okay, so that's our link. Now we are going to have the images. Okay, so we are going to have the about image BG. We are going to have the LG as well, and then the SM. Okay, so let's just wrap them inside a div with a class of about left. Okay, and we are going to have the about image BG, that's for the background. You have the LG and then the SM. Okay, so LG and then SM. All right, now let's get the image. So let's go into our images folder and then get the about. It's going to say about image or about Tommy Hanks. Okay, that's the name of the user. Actually, you know what, let's change this. Okay, we are using a lady, so it should let's just say Diana. Okay, and here too we are going to, let's just copy this image and then paste it here. All right, so that is for the left. We are going to have a right as well. Okay, so we're going to have about right, where is going to have the text content. First we are going to have that empty, so a div with a class of empty and another class of about empty. Okay, it's going to be specific to this about section, and below that we are just going to have some paragraph text. Okay, so I'm going to copy the text from the finished project. Okay, so this is going to be the first paragraph text. We're going to have two more. Let's see, this is going to be the second one. Copy that and then paste it here, and we're going to have the third one. Okay, come back here and then paste it. All right, so that is all for the about section. Let me just copy this comment and then make sure we have it here as well. About, so that's the end of the about section. All right, let's proceed to the CSS. I'm going to copy this link comment as well, paste it. We are going to deal with the about, and let's see what we got from the markup. Okay, so you scroll down and you can see we have what is this? Let's make sure we get rid of that right here. Okay, so that is gone. So as you can see, we have everything almost done. Okay, that's for the contact button. We have everything done already since we had that general class contact btn. Okay, yeah, so we have our images and then we have our text here. Okay, the empty is also done as well. We are just going to position them and then align them well here in the about section, and that will be all. Right, so let's head back to our css. All right, so let's start. We are going to push our about down a little bit, okay, so that we have some space there. All right, so let's target our about. That is an ID of about. Margin top, let's do 18 rem. Save, and we have it here. Okay, pretty good. Now let's target our container. So about container, and let's display that display grid. Okay, grid template columns is going to be 10 rems, 26 rems, and auto. Okay, now the 10 rem is coming from, or we are given this 10 rem because of this button. Okay, so we are giving it this 10 rem because this button by default we gave it a width of 10 rem. Okay, if you can remember that. All right, we are actually going to position this absolutes. Okay, so this is out of the question, right? So we have 10 rem. This is going to be, I think, 26 rem, and then the the right side with the text is going to be the auto. Okay, now let's give it a gap of 3 rem and let's position it relative. Okay, just because we are going to position our title absolute, and this is the parent of that, so we should have a relative position. All right, now we are going to target actually, you know what, let me target my title straight away. Okay, so about, I give it a class of about title. I'm going to position that absolute. It's going to be -7 rem from the top. I'm going to give it a z index of 1. Okay, and we have that here. Okay, now let's proceed, and I'm going to target the button. Okay, so about btn. Okay, so the contact button, and we gave it another class of about btn. I'm going to change the color, okay, to color primary variant, and I'm going to align self to the end. Okay, I want to bring it down. I want to bring it what is wrong? Align self. Yeah, okay, so that brings it down here. Good. All right, now let's proceed, and I'm going to give it a hover effect. So about btn, and then hover. Come on, hover. I want to translate on the x-axis. Okay, so transform, and then translate on the y-axis instead. I'm going to do -1 rem. Okay, and I also want to change the color a little bit to the primary color instead. Let's save that, and we have this cool hover effect. All right, now let's take care of the images. Okay, so they are inside about image. I'm going to give that a width. Okay, we have a width already, right, which is 26 rem. So let's forget about this, and I'm going to position this relative. Okay, now let's get the lg. Actually, I'm going to get the about bg first. Let's actually give this a width of 16 rem and the height of 24 rem as well. We're going to position that absolute and give it a bottom of 0. Okay, let me give it a background as well of color bg. Let's do 4. Save and see what we have, and there's it. Okay, now what else? Let's target the lg. So about image, let's target the lg, the large one. We're going to position that relative, and it's going to be 1 rem from the left and then 1 rem from the bottom. Okay, let's save that, and about image lg, we should have that, right? Let's see, today image lg, yeah. Let's save and see. Okay, let's proceed. Okay, it's because we don't have any styles for this. Actually the lg. Okay, and as you can see, it is shifted 1 rem from the bottom and then 1 rem from the left. Okay, but this preventing it from taking effect or having that style that we have here. Okay, so we are going to target the sm, and once we are done with that, it is going to take effect. Okay, but even before we proceed, of course, we are going to give it that filter. So the saturation is going to be 0, and the brightness is going to be 0. Let's do 0.3. Okay, just like we did for the header image. Okay, we're going to have a hover effect, so I'm going to do transition 500 milliseconds is all right. Now let's target the sm, about image sm. Come on, image, and then the sm. I'm going to position this absolute as well. So a position of absolute from the top, we are going to give it 3 rem, and from the left 8 rem. Okay, now let's give it a height of 22 rem. Same for the width. Okay, 22 rem. Let's give it an overflow of heading, and I'm going to give it a box shadow as well. Okay, let's do 2 rem for the x-axis, 2 rem for the y-axis, 2 rem for the blur, and an RGBA 0000.3. Let's see what happens. So we have it. Okay, as you can see here, we have it. I think the box shadow is too much. It's too, let's do 0.2 for the alpha. Yeah, so that's good. All right, so everything on the left side is done. Okay, now we can proceed. We can, you know what, before we do the right, let's have the hover effects. Okay, so on hover of the about image, I'm going to get the about image SM, and I'm going to give it an opacity or opacity of 0. Okay, by default it is 1, but on hover we are going to give it an opacity of 0. Okay, to smoothen that effect, of course, we are going to give it that transition of, let's do 500, just like we did here. Okay, so let me copy this and then paste that here. Good. Okay, so now we have a smooth effect for the hover. Let's get the background as well. So about image, on hover we are going to get the about image BG, and the bottom is going to be 0. Let's save, and I don't think that that's working, right? You know what, let's target the LG instead. Come on, LG. And for the LG, I'm going to change the filter. Saturation is going to come back to 1, and the brightness as well is going to be 1. Okay, I'm going to give it a box shadow of 0, 3 rem for the y-axis, 3 rem for the blur, RGBA. Come on, RGBA. Yeah, let's just use 0.2 for the alpha, and the border. Okay, just like we did for the header. Okay, so a border of 1 rem solid, and it's going to be the color gray, color BG4. Okay, so this is actually not bad. We could move it, okay, to the left side, because we actually gave it a left and then the bottom. Okay, so here we could do 0, okay, for the left and then the bottom. Okay, which is not bad. Okay, so this is actually cool. This is okay, right? Okay, so we can proceed to the right section. Okay, the right side of the about. Okay, so let's get the about right, and I'm going to give it a margin left of 4 rem. Yeah, that's not bad. I think, yeah, 4 rem is cool. Well, let's do 5 rem instead. Okay, that's not bad. All right, now let's get the paragraph. So about right, and then p tags, let's give them a margin. Let's do 0 for the top, 4 rem for the right, 1.5 for the bottom, and then 3 rem for the now let me just do 0 for the left. Save, and this is what we have. Okay, and I think that is all for, we're actually going to give our background. Okay, we're going to give our body a background at the end of the video. Okay, but I think for now we can proceed to the next section of the website. Okay, we are done with the about section, so the next one is going to be this gallery section. Okay, All right, so let's proceed to that. All right, so this is going to be inside a section tag as well. Let's give this an ID of gallery. Okay, and we are going to have a general container class. Let's give it a gallery container class as well. Okay, now in here we are going to have a gallery head, and that is going to have an h2, okay, with a class of gallery title, and this is just going to say my gallery. Okay, a sibling of this is going to be the empty, so I did with a class of empty and another class of gallery empty. Okay, all right, below that, or below the head, we are going to have a paragraph. Let's just do, actually, you know what, I'm going to copy from the finished project. Okay, so we are going to have this paragraph. Copy that and then paste it in. All right, perfect. Now we're actually going to use a library, okay, to achieve the slides that we have in the finished project. Okay, to have these slides, and that is called Swiper.js. Okay, so that is called Swiper.js, and this is the library we are going to use. Okay, so let's actually click on get started. I'm going to open that in a new tab. Let me actually open the demos in a new tab as well, and the API as well. Okay, so to get started, we are going to use the CDN. So I'm going to grab the CDN. So this is the CSS link. I'm going to paste that in my head. Okay, so I'm going to paste that here. Swiper JS CDN, and I'm going to get the JavaScript link as well. Copy that, come back to the projects and paste that here as well. Okay, before the link for the main JS. Okay, all right, so we have that. Now let's see the demos. Okay, so we have some demos. Okay, so this is what we are going to use. Okay, so I'm just going to click core right here. All right, so as you can see here, each slide is going to have a swiper slide. That's the class. Okay, we're going to give it a class of swiper slide. Each of the slides are going to have that class, and the parents of that, okay, the parents of these slides is going to have a swiper wrapper class. Okay, and the parents of the swiper wrapper is going to have a swiper and my swiper class. Okay, so let's go ahead and then do that. Okay, so the parents from the project here, we are going to have a class of swiper wrapper. Okay, that is going to wrap around double P. Okay, that is going to wrap around the individual slides. Okay, and each slide is going to be inside an article tag with a class of swiper slide. Okay, and each of these, of course, they are going to have an image. So let's go into our images folder and grab our gallery images. Okay, this is going to be the first one. I'm just going to remove the alts. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and then duplicate this many times, probably like 10 times, and this is going to be 2, and then 11. Okay, all right, so we have that. Now the parent of the swiper wrapper, which in this case is going to be the container. Okay, that should have a class. Let's confirm that, a class of swiper and another class of my swiper. Okay, so let's come here and give it those classes, swiper and then my swiper. Okay, and that is all we need here. All right, that is all we need here. Actually, I think we forgot to get the pagination. Okay, the pagination is this. that we have here. So let's get that as well from the from here. So we are just going to copy this div with a class of swiper pagination. Come back here and paste that outside of the swiper wrapper. Okay, so it's going to be assembling to the swiper wrapper. Yeah, exactly. All right, so that is all for the markup for the gallery section. Okay, let me have my comments here. So end of gallery. All right, so let's get into the CSS. I'm going to copy the comments up top. All right, so let's see what we got from the markup. Okay, all right, so we have our title, we have the empty, we have the paragraph, and then we have the slice. Okay, the images. All right, so let's actually make this work. Okay, let's have the slice since we are using the swiper.js. And one thing we should make sure, remember earlier we linked the CSS CDN and then the JavaScript CDN, right? But we should make sure we are using the CDN inside the demo. Okay, the particular demo that we are using, you can see we have the JavaScript CDN down here, and then we have the CSS CDN up here as well. Okay, so we are going to copy the CSS CDN, come back to our HTML, and then replace that with what we copied earlier. Save that, and I'm going to get the JavaScript as well. Okay, so I'm going to copy this, come back and have it. I'm going to change it, paste that. Okay, now make sure that comes before the main.js. Okay, so what we are going to do to make that work, actually let's save and come back. Nothing happened. So we are going to copy this JavaScript code that we have here in the script, copy that, and we are going to paste that in our JavaScript. Okay, in our main.js. So I'm going to have a comment here, and now that should work. Okay, we should have our slice, and as you can see, we have our slice. Okay, so now we can go ahead and then add some more styles to our gallery section. Okay, so let's go back to our CSS, and I'm going to grab, let's put this side by side. Okay, I'm going to grab my gallery section and give it a margin top of 12 rem. Okay, and there is no bug here, it's just the CDN is taking some time to load. That is why but it will eventually kick in. Okay, all right, so let's get the gallery head. Okay, gallery head. Okay, and that has the empty and then um the let's see, let's make sure we confirm that. So we have the gallery head, which is this, and that has the empty and the title. Okay, the empty and then the title here. All right, so we're going to display that flex, and we are going to justify content to be spaced between. Let's save, and what is wrong? Gallery. Okay, so now we have the title and then the empty, and we pushed the gallery section down as well. All right, now let's grab the paragraph. Okay, so I'm going to grab the gallery container, and then we have only one paragraph, so I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to give it a width. I don't want it spanning the whole width of the container. Okay, so I'm going to give it a width of 45 rem. All right, so we have that. Okay, so we are going to grab the swiper wrapper. Okay, which is the container that has all the slides. Okay, we're going to push that down from the paragraph and give it some more styles. Okay, so the swiper wrapper, we are going to give that a margin top of 5 rem, and okay, this CDN thing is getting boring, but we're just going to have to deal with that. Okay, let's give it some more styles. I'm going to give it a height of 37 rem and a padding bottom of 5 rem. Okay, Okay, so now we have the pagination closer. Okay, all right, now I'm going to get the individual slice, so swiper slide, and give that a border of 0.5 rem solid, and I'm going to give that a color bg4. Okay, I'm going to give them a height of fit content, a maximum height of 36 rem. Overflow is going to be hidden. The overflow is going to be hidden, and I'm going to give it a transition. Okay, to smoothen, I'm going to give it a hover effect, so we should have a transition here. Transition, and we are going to use that variable transition that we have up top. Okay, so let's save, and there's what we have. Okay, we have our border and all that. Okay, and if you want, you can come to the API and then read more about Swiper.js and all that. Okay, but I think for now we can even close everything up here. We don't need anything again. And let's have some more styles for the slice. Okay, we're going to give it a hover effect and all that. Swiper slide on hover. I want to give it a box shadow of 0, 3 rem, 3 rem, RGBA. I'm going to do 0, 0, 0, and then the alpha is going to be 0.4. Okay, it's taking a million years. Oh god. Okay, so now we have a cool hover effect. Now I'm going to target the images, okay, inside the individual slice, and filter saturation for them is going to be 0. I want them to look like black and white. And also I'm going to give them a transition. Since we are going to add a hover effect, we are going to give it that variable transition. Okay, and on hover of the swiper slide, on hover of the swiper slide, I want to get the image, and the saturation is going to be 1. Okay, let's save that, and now we have a cool hover effect for our slice. All right, now I'm going to get the bullets, the pagination bullets that we have here. I'm going to get that and then change the color to match our theme. Okay, so a swiper pagination bullet. I'm going to give that a background of color primary. A save, and now we have that. Okay, perfect. Now let's actually go ahead and then make this responsive. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and then make it responsive. So and we are going to do that here in the JavaScript. Okay, you can go to Swiper.js and then read more about how to make your your carousels responsive, but I'm going to go straight ahead, and then they use the mobile first responsive design. Okay, so on mobile, I'm not going to have any space between on mobile. Okay, actually, you know what, let me do it, let me make it 20 for the space between on mobile. And for responsiveness, I'm going to have a breakpoint. The breakpoints, the first one is going to be 599 pixels. So for that, I want the slice per view to change to 2. So on tablets, I want the number of slices to be 2, and the space between is going to be, let's do 40. Okay, okay, so on tablets, the number of slices that shows on the screen are going to be 2. Okay, let me save code, and let's, okay, so that's why we have this. Okay, that's why we have this. Now on large devices, okay, on desktop devices and co, we are going to have a different breakpoints for that. That is going to be 1203 pixels, and the slice per view here is going to be 3. Okay, and the space between is going to be 60 pixels. Okay, so now on large screens we have 3 slides. On tablets we are going to have 2 slides, as you can see here, that shows. And then on mobile phones we are going to have only 1 slide. Okay, which is really cool. All right, so that is all for our gallery section. Okay, that is all for our gallery section. Next, let's proceed to the exhibitions section, which is this right here. Okay, so let's proceed to that. All right, so let's have a section with the ID of exhibitions. Okay, we're going to have a general container class and another class of exhibitions container, and we are going to have our title, okay, which is an h2. Let's give that a class of exhibitions title, and this is just going to say exhibitions. Okay, all right, next to that we are going to have our empty. Okay, so I did with a class of empty and exhibitions empty. Okay, that is going to be empty, of course. Now next to that we are going to have a div with a class of exhibitions head. Okay, which is going to have the paragraph. Let's just do, I'm actually going to copy from the finished project. I'm going to copy this. So as you saw, we had the exhibitions, and that's the title. We had the empty, and now in the head, or in the div with the class of exhibitions head, we're going to have this paragraph, and then this the link. Okay, the contact link. Okay, so we have the paragraph. Next we are going to have the link. So I can actually copy that from about, right? Yeah, I can just copy that from here, come down here, and then paste it. And I'm just going to change this to exhibitions btn. Now a sibling of the head is going to have the gallery. Okay, remember inside the exhibitions we have this gallery here with these images. So we are going to have a div with a class of exhibitions gallery, and let's have an article tag, okay, which is going to have the image. So let's go into our images folder and get our first exhibitions gallery image. Okay, the first one is going to be ev.jpg. That is the first image, and it is a vertical image. Okay, so it spans 2 rows basically. That is why I named it ev. And we are going to have some more images. Okay, so let me just duplicate this a few times. The second one is going to be e1. We are going to have e2. We are going to have eh. So this is going to be horizontal. We are going to have e4, or e3 rather. We're going to have e4 and then e5. Okay, we have 7 images, e5. All right, so that is all for our exhibitions section. Okay, so I'm going to have the comment here, end of exhibitions. Let's save that, come back to the CSS. I'm going to grab the comment here as well, exhibitions. Okay, now let's see what we got from the markup. Scroll down and there's it. Okay, there's what we have. Okay, so we have the first image, which is twice as tall. Okay, looking at the other images, the first one is twice as tall. Okay, and we have the horizontal image as well, which is twice as wide. Okay, but it's half as tall as the other ones. Okay, I hope that makes sense. You're going to see that once we get into the styling. Okay, so let's go ahead and then give this some styling. So let's get the exhibition section, or section with the ID of exhibitions. Give it a margin top of 10 rem. Okay, so we push it down a little bit. And they're still taking time to load the CDNs. That is why it takes some time before the slides work. Okay, if you have a faster internet, of course it is going to load immediately. Okay, so we are going to get the container, so exhibitions container, and let's position that relative. That's what we are going to do there. We are going to get the exhibitions empty, and we are going to give that a width. So we are going to change the width to 26 rem, give it a position of absolute, and a right of 14 rem, and a top of 0. Save, and this is what we have. Okay, now let's target the head, the exhibitions head, which has the paragraph and then the link. Okay, so exhibitions head, let's display that to be grid. The grid template columns is going to be auto 10 rem. Okay, so remember this should have a width of 10 rem. Okay, by default that is what we gave it, so we have that. And now I'm going to justify content to be space between, which it is already, and also I'm going to give it an align items of center. Now I'm going to target this paragraph that we have, so exhibitions container, and then the paragraph, the direct paragraph. Okay, remember this also is a paragraph. Okay, so we should make sure we are targeting the direct paragraph. Let's see, let's get the exhibitions head instead. That's what has the direct child paragraph. Okay, so here we are going to give it a width of 45 rem, just like we did for the gallery section. Okay, so we have that. Now I'm going to target the button. Okay, this button that we have here, or the link. So exhibitions btn, let's change the color to be the primary color. I think primary variants, and on hover we are going to have the primary color instead. Okay, all right, now on hover we should have some movement. Okay, like we did for the other ones. So I'm going to the btn, exhibitions btn, on hover, on to translate. First we transform, and then we translate on the y-axis -1 rem. Okay, yeah, and that's what we need there. All right, so let's proceed and then have the actual gallery. Okay, the grid. Okay, so I'm going to paste that, and I'm going to display that to be a grid, of course, and the grid template columns is going to be repeat 3 times 1fr. Okay, let's save, and this is what we have, which is not perfect, and that's not exactly what we want, but we are going to work on it. Okay, let's actually push this from the bottom. Okay, so let's give it a margin top of 5 rem. That should be good. All right, so we have some space there, and let's give some gap between the individual, let's give some gap between the elements. Okay, so we have some gap here. All right, now let's target the individual slice, so exhibitions gallery, and then the articles. Okay, let's give them a border of 0.5 rem solid, and the color is going to be color bg4. We are going to have some hover effects, so let's give it a transition of the variable transition. Let's save. Now I'm going to target this one. Okay, I want it to span 2 columns here. Okay, so let's target that. I think that is the third image or the third article that we have in the gallery. Okay, that's actually the fourth one, right? Okay, so I'm going to target that. So I'm going to grab this, copy paste, and that's the fourth child. Sorry, the fourth child. I'm going to give that a grade column of 2 4 and a grade row of 2 2 2 3, sorry. Okay, so what I'm going to do is to get the first one as well, since that is spanning 2 rows. Okay, I'm going to get that, and I'm going to give that a grade row of 1 3. Okay, so now we have it. Okay, why is this not spanning the full? I'm going to fix this. So I'm going to get the exhibitions gallery images. Okay, I'm going to give them a height of 100%, and also I'm going to give that a filter of saturate 0 and brightness. Actually, I'm not going to touch the brightness here. Okay, but we are going to have a hover effect, so let's give it a transition of the variable transition that we have, and now you can see all the images fit. Okay, so on hover of each article, we want to have some style for the image. Okay, or we want to set this back to a saturate of 1. Okay, but we also want to target the articles and then give a box shadow to them as well. Okay, so now we have the saturation animation or the transition on hover. Okay, but I want to give them a box shadow as well, that is the articles containing the images. So on hover, I want to give them a box shadow of 0 on the x-axis, 4rem for the y-axis, 4rem for the blur, RGBA 0000.5 for the alpha. Let's save, and now we have some hover effects. Okay, pretty cool. I think that's enough. Okay, that's all right. Perfect. So now we can proceed to the next section of the website. Okay, which is going to be the last section of the website, and that is the footer section. Okay, so let's move on to that. This is going to be very simple. You know what, let me remove these breaks. Okay, you don't need them anymore. Okay, now this footer is going to be very simple. Let's have that inside a footer tag, which is an HTML5 semantic tag as well. Let's have a container class, and then a footer container class as well. Okay, now we are going to have a footer head, which is going to have an h2. Let's give this a class of footer title. Okay, and this is just going to have our email. Okay, so in case someone wants to copy our email, they can just copy that. Okay, now we're going to have an anchor tag, which is going to mail to our email, just like we've done over and over again. Okay, and they're just going to have the icon. So right here, yeah, we are going to have this arrow. Okay, now I'm actually going to give this a class. There's not going to have that general class. Okay, but we are going to give it a footer btn class. All right, now next to the header, we are going to have a UL. Let's give this a class of footer links, and we are going to have LIs, which are going to be having our links. The first one is going to take us to the top of the page, so home. I'm going to duplicate this 3 times. We are going to have about, so they're just going to say about. We are going to have gallery, so gallery, that's why we gave them the IDs, and exhibitions. Okay, exhibitions. Okay, all right, so that is all for the markup for our footer. Okay, that is all for the markup. Let me have swiper.js cdn. Okay, so let's proceed and have some styles for our footer. So footer, let's first see what we got from the markup. Okay, so this is it. This is all we have from the footer section right here. All right, so let's go ahead and install that. All right, so let's style this. So I'm going to grab the footer and give it a margin top of 7 rem. Okay, push it down a little bit. Let's get the container. So we give that a class of footer container, and I'm going to give that a border top of 0.5 rem solid, and let's give it the color BG4. I'm going to give it a padding top as well. A padding top of 5 rem should be good. And now we have this. Okay, now let's target the head, which has this, and then this link, which is supposed to open your mail. So footer head, I'm going to display flex and align items to the center. I'm going to give a gap of 2 rem. We have it. Okay, so now let's target that link with the icon. So we give that a class of footer btn. I'm going to give it a width. Let's do 5 rem. 5 rem, a height of 5 rem as well, a border of 0.2 rem solid. This time is going to be color primary variant, so border radius of 50%. I'm going to give it a font size of 3 rem to increase the icon a little bit. Okay, let's change the color as well. Color primary variant should be good. Let's display flex, and just so we can position the icon right in the middle, right? So I'm going to display flex and justify content to the center, align items to the center as well. Perfect. All right, so I'm going to have some hover effects. So I'm going to give it a transition of the variable transition, and let's have the hover effect. Okay, so on hover, I want to transform and translate on the y-axis -1 rem. Border color is going to change to match. On hover, notice we have the color of the icon changing. Okay, since it is inside the link, and up top we set each link on hover to have the color primary color. Okay, so I want the border color to change as well, so that is going to be color primary. Okay, so now on hover, okay, hover. Okay, so on hover we have that. Perfect. All right, now let's target the links, the footer links that we have down here. Let's target those and then align them exactly how we want. So footer links, that's the class we gave the UL. So margin top, actually I'm just going to do margin of 3 rem for the top, 0 for the left and right, and then 5 rem for the bottom. Okay, so now we have this, we have some space there. So I'm going to display flex. I'm going to align items to the center and give a gap of 5 frames between them. Let's save, and that's what we have. Okay, so now if we click, we come to the exhibitions section, we go to the gallery section, the about section, and then home. Okay, this works exactly like in the nav as well, and this is going to refresh the page. Perfect. All right, so now the whole website is done for the desktop. Okay, of course, this is going to open. We have our slice. Okay, which is working perfectly. We can even click. All right, this is also going to do the same thing. Open the email and populate that with the recipient's address. Okay, which is going to be us. Okay, we are trying to receive that email. Okay, we have this galleries, the exhibition section, which has this grid, and we have this as well here in the footer. So everything is working perfectly. Okay, so now let's proceed and then make this responsive on tablets and mobile phones. Okay, we are going to do that using CSS media queries. Okay, so let's put this side by side. And start working on our media queries. Okay, so this first one is going to be the medium devices or medium screens. Okay, we are going to have two media queries. The first one is going to be for tablets. Okay, and then the second one is going to be for mobile phones. All right, so let me copy this, paste. Yeah, perfect. All right, so at media screen and max width of, let's do 1024 pixels. Okay, for tablets. Okay, so anything below this is going to have the styles that we are going to have here. Okay, so to see the breakpoints, I'm going to target the body and then give it a background of red. Okay, just so we see the breakpoints. So as you can see, we have a background of red, and around here is the breakpoints. Okay, so this and below is going to have the styles that we are going to have here. Okay, so let me actually put this side by side. Let me shrink this a little bit. I'm first going to target the general container class and give it the width for medium devices. Okay, so remember we had the container width MD, okay, which is around 92 percent. Okay, so we are changing the width to this. We are going to give it a position of relative as well. Okay, now let's target our H1s, and we only have only one H1 here in the header. Okay, so we're going to target that and then give it a font size of 2.5 rem. Let's target, actually I'm going to give it a line height as well of 1.3 rem, sorry, 1.3. Okay, I'm going to get the H2s and change the font size to 2.5 rem as well. All right, now let's go ahead and then start working on the navbar. Okay, let's change the styles for the navbar. So let me actually leave a comment here. So for the nav, let's directly grab the nav socials. I'm not going to need that here, so I'm going to display none. Okay, I'm going to remove it. And yeah, what else? Let's actually target the nav links. I'm going to give that a position of absolute, is going to be 100% from the top. Okay, so let me give that a background so that you see how this actually. Okay, so it's 100% from the top. Okay, and it should be exactly at the bottom of the nav. Okay, all right, so let's give it a right of 0 so that it's on the right, and let's actually change the flex direction. Remember, this is already displayed the flex, so here we are only going to change the flex direction to be column, and the gap is going to be 0. We don't need any gap between them. Now I'm going to proceed and then target the LIs. Okay, so nav links, I'm going to target each LI and give that a height. All of them are going to have a height of 5 frame each. Let's give them a box shadow of -3 rem for the x-axis, 3 rem for the y-axis, 3 rem for the blur, RGBA 000.7. Okay, so we have that. Not too bad, I guess, but we are going to work more on that. Now I'm going to target the links. Okay, in each LI we have a link, so I'm going to target that and give them a background. Okay, let's actually remove this red background. So each link is going to have a background of color BG4. Let's save. Okay, not quite obvious there, but it is there. Now let's give them a height of the appearance height, so 100% of the appearance height and 100% of the appearance width as well. Let's display them flex just so we can align items to the center. Now let me give them some padding of 1 rem for the top, 5 rem for the right, 1 rem for the bottom, and then 3 rem for the left. Okay, so we have that. I'm going to have a border at the top, so border top is going to be 1 pixel solid, and let's give that the color BG2. Okay, so this is what we have. All right, now we should have the buttons. Okay, the hamburger button and then the close button. By default, we are only going to need the hamburger button. Okay, but first let's grab the 2 buttons. So we give them a class of nav toggle btn, right? If you can remember that, we give them that class. So let's give them a display of inline block, and font size is going to be 2 rem. Let's save and see. Yeah, we have them. Let's remove the background. So background is going to be transparent, and I'm going to make the cursor pointer, okay, so that they look clickable. I'm also going to change the color to be color white. Let's save, and we have this. As I said, by default we are only going to need the hamburger icon, so I'm going to display this. That is the close icon. I'm going to display that none for now, and we give that an ID of nav toggle close. Okay, I'm going to display that none. Okay, so we only have the hamburger icon. All right, so we can proceed and then add the functionality to close it and open this nav menu. Okay, so by default this should be hidden, so I'm going to give it a display of none. Okay, and let's go to our JavaScript. Let me make this bigger. Sorry. Yeah. And for creating responsive navbars, I've done this video like a billion times already. Okay, I actually have a dedicated video on how to create a responsive navbar, and also I have a dedicated video on how to animate a responsive navbar. Okay, so this is going to be very quick. So what we need to do is to grab the icons or the 2 buttons, the hamburger and the close button, and also the menu. Okay, so we are going to grab those 2, and on click of this hamburger we want to show the menu. Okay, and hide this button. Okay, we are going to show the menu, hide this button, and then replace it with the close button instead. Okay, and also we are going to have some function to close the menu as well. Okay, so let's quickly do that. Okay, so we're going to get the nav first. Yeah, so we are just going to call it nav. So document.query selector, and we gave that a class of nav links. Okay, I'm going to duplicate this twice. Let's get the open nav btn. We gave that, let me make this bigger. We gave that an ID of nav toggle btn. Okay, and we have the close nav btn as well. We gave that an ID of nav toggle close. Okay, so this is actually open. Let's confirm that from the HTML. Let's go to the nav, make this bigger. Okay, so we have nav toggle open and then nav toggle close, right? And that's what we're getting here. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to put an event list now on the nav toggle open or open nav btn. I'm going to add an event listener. It's going to be a click event, and I'm going to have a function called open nav. Okay, so let's create that function real quick. There's going to be an arrow function, open nav. Okay, so here we want to get the nav and then show it. Okay, so the style display for the nav menu is going to be flex. Okay, here is the initial style that we gave it before we displayed it none. Okay, so we are going to display it flex, and if I save this and then come here, I click, I show the nav. Okay, which is exactly what we want. Now I want to remove this and then replace it with the close icon or the close button instead. So open nav btn style display is going to be none. Okay, and then close nav btn style display is going to be inline block. Okay, so if I click again, as you can see, we have that replaced. Okay, now to close this is going to be very similar to the open. So I'm just going to duplicate this. We are going to put an event list now on this close button, so close nav btn, and on click of that we are going to call a function close nav. Okay, so that is the function close nav, and here we are going to just do the opposite. So we are going to hide the nav, so we are going to display that none. We are going to show the open nav again, or the hamburger icon, so that is going to be displayed in line block, and then this one is going to be displayed none. Okay, so let's save, and now we can open and then close our nav menu. I want to close the nav menu whenever I click on any of these links. Okay, so what we're going to do is to grab all the links. So we have the nav, we're going to get, or we're going to query selector all and grab the, and we are going to run a for each loop on that. Okay, so let's call each of them nav link, and we are going to run this function. Okay, so on click on each of them, so let's add an event listener, which is going to be a click event. So on click of any of them, we should have, or we should call the close nav. Okay, so let's see, so let's save and see what happens. So I open, I click on any of them, it closes. Okay, it takes me to that section, and then the nav menu closes. All right, so let's proceed and actually give this some animation. Okay, and as I said, I have a dedicated video on that, so I'm not going to waste any time here. Okay, so I'm just going to paste some animation that I've created. Okay, so now we have some animation on showing the nav. Okay, perfect. All right, so let's proceed to the next section, which is going to be this header section. Let me actually copy this comment, come down here and then paste it. So let's work on the header. All right, so let's get the header and let's give it a height of fit content. I'm going to give it a padding 14 rem, 0, 12 rem. So 14 for the top, 0 for the left and right, and then 12 for the bottom. Okay, I'm going to display grid. Actually, this is already displayed grid. Okay, so I'm going to, let's save and see what we have. Not too bad, I guess. I'm going to get the header image bg and display that none. Okay, and I'm actually going to display none for the small image as well. So header image sm, I'm going to display those two things none. Okay, I don't need them here on the tablets. Right, so now let's grab the container. So the header container, it is already displayed grid, I think. Okay, so the header itself wasn't displayed grid, it was the container. So I'm going to display this grid and place items to the center. I'm going to give the grid templates columns for the container to be 40% for the left and then 54% for the right. Let's give a gap of 6 rem or 6% rather, and a margin of 0. Okay, we had a margin top for that. Okay, so we are setting it back to 0. All right, now I'm going to get the large image, so header image lg, and the filter saturation this time, or the saturate, is going to be 1, and also the brightness is going to be 1. Okay, so we have the image. Now the border is going to be 1 rem, solid, color bg2. I'm going to give it a width of 100%, a top of 0, and a left of 0 as well. Okay, so that's what we have. Perfect. All right, now let's target the empty. Okay, and display those none. Okay, so I'm not going to have that empty on the tablets. Okay, also I'm going to grab the p. I'm going to grab this paragraph, and so that's header right, and then the p tag. I'm going to give it a width of 100%. Good. I'm going to grab the frames, okay, and this button as well. I'm going to grab these two frames and then the button. The frames are inside the header frames. Let me grab the button as well. So all the buttons are going to be displayed none. Okay, and the frames as well. So now we have a very simple look to our page on tablets. All right, now you know what, I'm going to grab the tag. Okay, so header tag, I'm going to give it a margin bottom of 1 rem. Yeah, now if you could remember, we had a button that is going to show on tablets and then mobile phones. Okay, it's going to be used in place of the circular link that opens the email. Okay, so we gave that a class of header btn md. Okay, let's give that a background of, let's do a linear gradient here as well, and 135 degrees is going to be the angle. So color primary variant, and color primary, color bg1. Going to give it a margin top of 2 rem, and a display of inline block. Let me give it a padding of 0.6 rem for the top and bottom, and then 1.6 for the left and right. Let's save, and that's what we have. Good. Now let me increase the font weight to, come on, to, let's do 600, and also the border radius is going to be 0.3 rem. Perfect. All right, now I'm going to, on hover, you can see it almost vanishes. Okay, and that is because it's changing the color to the color primary. So header btnmd, on hover, the color should be, and I think that's all for, actually, you know, it's for the p. Let me give it a margin top of 1.5 rem instead of the 2. Okay, the space is too much, and now it looks good. Okay, all right, so that's for the tablet, the header tablet style. Now let's move on to the about. Okay, so I'm going to copy this comment, paste that here, and let's style our about. Now let's get the container. So about container, and the grid template columns is going to be 40%, 54%. Okay, all right, now let's give a gap. I think that's what we did. Okay, that's not what we did there, but let's just give a gap. And we have two elements basically. Okay, so we have the left side and the right side. Remember, we displayed all the circular buttons, we displayed them now. Okay, so yeah, let's target the background. Okay, so about image background, I'm going to remove that. Okay, and the SM as well, just like we did for the header. So about image SM, I'm going to display them now. Okay, so now we have only this one. Let's target that. So about image LG, I'm going to give that a left of 0, a top of 0 as well. Filter, saturate 1, brightness is going to be 1 as well. So we are setting it to its default look. Okay, and let's save. Let's see what we have. Not too bad, I guess, but I'm going to remove that hover effect. So about image, on hover, I want to get the about image LG. So now on hover, we don't have that border. Okay, we don't have that animation. I'm going to target the about, right, and then the paragraph tag. Okay, this paragraph tag that we have here, actually we have multiple tags, right? I'm going to set the margin. Remember, we had some margin on the left and then I think on the right as well. We're going to give that a margin of 0, so we are going to remove that margin. And let's target the about right. I think that's what's causing this wide opening here, so let's give that a margin of 0. Okay, good. Now for the paragraph, I don't think we even have to do anything here, so let's save. Or let me reduce the margin bottom to 1 rem. I think it was previously 1.5. Yeah, okay, so that's what we have. Now let's move on to the gallery section, which is going to be very simple. Okay, so this about, let's move on to the gallery section quickly. So gallery, I'm going to set the margin top to be 8 rem. Okay, now let me get the container and the paragraph. Let me grab the paragraph directly and set the width to 100% and a margin top of 2 rem. Good. Now I'm going to get the swiper wrapper. Okay, and give it a margin top. I'm going to reduce that to 4 rem. Remember, we gave it a 5 rem top margin. So here we are reducing that, and also I'm going to reduce the height to fit content. Okay, let me give it a bottom padding. I think we have a bottom pattern as well, yeah. And this is what we have. All right, so that's it. Let's move on to the next section, which is going to be the exhibitions section. Let's quickly move on to that. So let's grab the, let me scroll to that section. I'll make this smaller. Good. I'm going to target the exhibitions head and then a paragraph inside of it, or the direct paragraph. Okay, I'm going to get that, give that a rate of 100%, a margin top of 2 rem, and yeah, that's what we have. Now I'm going to target the exhibitions gallery, and the margin top is going to be 4 rem. Okay, 4 rem is not bad. We can actually do 3 rem, that should be okay. And the gap, okay, the gap between the elements that we have, or the grid, should be 1 rem. Okay, yeah, that's all right. I don't know if I should keep the borders. You know what, let me remove the borders that we have. Okay, so border is going to be none on the article. So okay, on the grids. All right, so we have this, which is not too bad, I guess. I think this is all right on tablets. Okay, this is okay for tablets and devices. Let's actually view this on a real tablet render. So let's go to tablet view, iPad Air, and this is how it is going to look on tablets. All right, now let's target the responsive design on mobile phones. Okay, so let's shrink this a little more. I'm going to copy the media queries that I have here. Scroll down, and this is going to be for small devices or small screens. Okay, now the pixel here is going to be 600 pixels and below. Let me have my closing curly braces. Okay, and to see the breakpoint, I'm going to give the body a background of red, and yeah, this is the breakpoint. Okay, so right here and below. Now for the responsive design for mobile phones or on small devices, I think we've done enough for the tablets. Okay, here we are not going to do a lot, especially with the nav. We are just going to have some styles, some different alignments for the rest of the pages. That is the header, about, exhibition, and all that. Okay, but for the now, we've taken care of everything, so it should be working exactly the same. So here I'm just going to paste the media queries for small devices. Okay, I'm going to paste that. Okay, so we can just copy or sorry, you can just type everything out, okay, or you can get a source code if you want. All right, so here you can type everything out. I'm just going to scroll for you to pause it and type everything out. Okay, so that's basically it. Okay, so if we should view this on a real mobile phone render, that's how it is going to look. Okay, that's how it is going to look. We can get to the different pages, sorry, the different sections of the page. Right, you can come to the bottom, which is the footer section. Everything is working perfectly. Okay, of course, here too, anyone using the website can send you a direct message. All right, so I think we are basically done with the whole website. Now when we check the finished project, for the background you can see we have some texture. Okay, I don't know if we need that because I think this looks cleaner um than the finished project. That's the previous one without the background texture. Okay, so but maybe you want it, so I'm going to add that. So let's go back to our code. Let's go up to the body, and then we are going to use a background that I have in the assets, okay, in my images. All right, so here the background, I'm going to add an image URL. So let's go into the images folder and then grab the bg texture, okay, which is the background. And now we have some texture for the background, as you can see. Perfect. Right, now looking at the finished project again, I think we have, okay, so as you can see we have this custom scroll bar. Okay, so that too, I'm going to paste that in the source code. You can just type that out. It's very simple. I'm going to paste that here. Okay, so just this stuff that we have here. Okay, so I save, and now we have a custom scroll bar. Okay, you can do it for Firefox as well if you want, but I think that's enough for now. So I think we have a bug. Okay, so let's go back in our JavaScript. I think that's where the problem is. Okay, yeah, okay, so we want this to happen only on tablets and mobile devices. Okay, so I'm going to say if, let's get the body, so document the body and then the client width. Okay, if it is less than 1024 pixels, then we want this effect to take place. Okay, we want this logic to happen. Okay, so let's save and then try this out again, and now everything is working as expected. Okay, let's actually go back to the mobile, and here on mobile it actually works. Okay, so we click the link and then it closes. Okay, it should do the same for tablets as well. Perfect. All right, now one last thing I want to do is have some border radius for this image that we have on tablets. Okay, so on tablets I think we give it a border radius. On mobile, let's see, so let's go to the header and the header image. Yeah, we have a border radius here. I'm going to cut that and then put it on the responsive design for tablets. Okay, so the header, yeah, this one. Let's set the overflow to be hidden. Okay, so That's for the media queries for tablets, okay, for medium screens. All right, just have those styles, okay, these lines, these two lines. All right, and now we have this, which I think looks better than we had before. Also, I'm going to reduce the padding that I have for the header. Come on. I think the padding is too much, so I'm going to do 10 rem here and 10 rem at the bottom as well. Let me actually do 12 rem and then 10 at the bottom. Okay, so that's pretty good. All right, so now I think we are good to go. Okay, we are good to proceed and make this live. Okay, we are going to deploy the website and make it available for everyone around the world. All right, so let's go ahead and then deploy this website. All right, so back here in my projects folder, I'm just going to compress this whole thing, okay, all our files and then the folder as well, okay, into one zip file. All right, so I'm going to select them all and then right click on any of them and then compress. Okay, I'm going to compress that. I'm going to name this production. All right, this is the zip file we are going to upload to our server. Okay, so go ahead and then log into your Hostinger H panel and we are going to upload this zip file. Okay, so if I should open this and then check, is the same files that we have here. Okay, so that is what we are going to upload. All right, so let's go back to the H panel. Here for the hosting, we are going to click manage, scroll down to file manager, okay, and then click that. All right, so let's click domains and then select the domain that we registered. Okay, go into our public HTML. This is where our files should be. Okay, so we are going to upload the zip file. Okay, so here in the directory, there's the zip file I'm going to upload. So I select it and then upload. All right, I'm going to extract the files. I'm going to do dot for this, extract, close this, and then I can delete the production zip. Okay, the zip file, I don't need that anymore. All right, so these files or the structure that we have here should correspond to what we had in our project. Okay, all right, so our website is live now. So if we showed check out the website, and I'm just going to use incognito for Chrome here, incognito tutorials.com. That's the domain, and as you can see, our website is live. Okay, and everything looks exactly as it showed. You can see some of the images are still loading. Okay, so everything looks exactly like we had in the development. Okay, you can click to go to the different sections of the page and all that. Okay, all right, so that's it, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.